Students, welcome to lesson unit 4 in criminal justice. Apologize I can't be there in person with you today. I just had something else that I had to attend to today. So here's the recording that we're going to go over, and then I'm just going to go over everything that needs to be done for this week. So this week we're going to be talking about police components. And I just want to show you in your course real quick a couple things. Make sure that you can go and check out the recordings. Okay, so the recordings are posted here. They're also posted in the content. But first let's go to plan. So if you click on plan, it's going to take you to your calendar, and you see what needs to be done. Okay, so um, it'll be the 17th when this goes. This will not have a live class, but it will be due on Monday. Okay, so make sure that you get that done, and you actually have just one assignment this week, not two. You'll just have the police component worksheet, which I'll show you where to get there. If you go to content and you go over to police here, you have the same thing here. Same thing as you did on the other worksheets that you worked on. Just copy and paste that over to a document, Google Doc or whatever, and then submit that. And you can find the answers in this document right here. So let's go over the lesson today of police components. Okay, so just so you know, this is recorded, and then there's class expectations. Okay, so there's a lot of different duties that you need to do as you're in the criminal justice field. Okay, one of those is report writing. Okay, so they have different reports that you need to fill out, and this is very important because if you have an investigation and it goes to trial, if it goes through the judicial process, which all of them do, the reports need to be um, factual and important and pretty fast follow up, right? So there is paperwork, just so you know, if you go into the criminal justice field. And I just like a note here, it says good field notes lead to good reports, write up and follow up, um, and more complete investigations. Okay, so if you're the first initial person on the scene, it's very important that you have that. You get statements from everybody that's there, write phone numbers, all that kind of stuff, because it could come back on you and on your department. So it's very important, these field reports. Also, some of the other things, I think I talked about this already, your report forms. Law enforcement agencies provide forms that indicate what information is needed and what format the information is presented. Okay, so they have to use the correct form, and they have to be complete and legible. On the reporting forms, you usually have a case number, a date that the incident occurred, the status of the case, whether it's active, inactive, cleared, complete, unfound, etc. Your name, your rank, your ID officer number, the crime or activity of the classification, a person's involved, narrative, uh, also official actions that were taken, and the filing of the report. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Some report organizations. Okay, the primary purpose of the report is to preserve information, record official actions, justify those actions, and aid in further investigation. Okay, you may want to look at they have all their forms written like in what's called the power format, which is planning the report, organizing the material, writing the report, evaluate, and rewrite it. So here's another one that's kind of fun, I think, for those that are not in law enforcement and interests quite a bit of people, is the use of an emergency equipment. Okay, there's a lot of equipment that is used, and the taxpayers, right? They pay a lot of money for some of this equipment. Um, Equipment can be anything from fire engines to ambulances to all the stuff that's used, that kind of equipment. Okay, so there's different codes that they use. So code 3 or 1039 is the use of emergency lights and sirens. I'm sure you've seen that a lot. And they're able to drive by some traffic to get to an emergency and get to that as fast as they can. Okay, pursuit driving. Okay, this is something that you've probably seen on TV and stuff, high-speed chases, being able to, and the law enforcement agencies, they train for this a lot to be able to go and just be prepared for what's on the road. Okay, if they are in pursuit of another vehicle, of another driver, and they have extensive experience, especially if you're like highway patrol and stuff, of how to do that. Over by Camp Williams, so that's like in Lehigh area, they actually have an area where, and that's where the highway patrol trains, and they actually train, high speed skidding around corners, all of that kind of stuff. So it's pretty kind of cool things that they get to do. Another thing about the components of policing is they have a command structure. Most law enforcement agencies are organized along military lines. Okay, law enforcement agencies are divided into divisions for the following reasons. One, to prevent duplication of services, to create efficiency, to develop expertise, and not to make an agency larger. Okay. Order and communication must proceed in the prescribed manner within the chain of command, and they must be obeyed. Disobedience of the direct order given by a supervisory officer is grounds for disciplinary action or even dismissal. There's also different procedures like radio procedures, okay? Governed by the departmental policy and common sense. They use transmission and receive information. All radio transmissions are preceded by calling the unit's identified number, which is car number. 3 beeps on the unit's radio means emergency. Information will proceed. Use the 10-digit code. So they have different codes that they use. Is used to shorten the radio traffic and transmission security. So here are some things that you may have heard. So they have the 10 codes, like 10-4 is acknowledgement or okay. 10-20 is current location. 10-21 is make a phone call. 10-27 is driver's license check. 10-28 vehicle registration check. 10-29 warrants check. 10-33 officers needs help quick. 10-40 no lights or sirens used. 10-41 on duty. 10-42 off duty. 10-50 traffic accident. 10-60 out of traffic violator. Always know what you are going to say when you pick up the microphone, and use common sense when you're making a transition. So it's something that you need to, if you're a police officer, you need to be trained on, and you need to understand how that works and the language that goes with it. All right, so here's a video that goes over the policing components and some things that all policemen would have.
This is Andre Da Silva for Cops Plus. Today we're going to break down the duty rig and go over the different components. For those of you new to law enforcement, all this gear can be a bit overwhelming, but it's actually straightforward once you know how it all goes together. Duty gear is available in 4 different finishes, typically decided by your department: plain, basket weave, high gloss, and nylon. The first one I want to show you is the simplest of the 4. It's a plain leather finish. As you can see, it's smooth without any texture. This is a popular choice for law enforcement. The next one we have is similar to the plain, except this leather finish has a basket weave texture stamped into it. Also a popular choice. Another finish we have is called high gloss, also known as Clarino. This more formal gear is used on highway patrol and mounted police officers. Finally, we have nylon. This lightweight option is often used by officers in warmer climates. A duty rig consists of two belts. The first one is called a garrison belt, and it works just like a standard pants belt. The second one, this is your duty belt. This is where all your gear attaches to, and it's also called a Sam Browne belt. How these two belts work together, we'll get to in just a minute. Here we have all the cases and holders that attach to your duty belt. Generally, these cases and pouches come in different sizes to accommodate different types of equipment. First off, we have a radio holder. This is how it attaches to your belt. It also features a strap that keeps your radio in place. Next off, we have a handcuff holder. This holds a standard pair of chain link handcuffs. And this is how it attaches to your belt here. Next, we have a double handcuff pouch. Although it can be a little bulky, it's convenient to have two pairs of handcuffs. Next, we have an OC spray holder. This one features a top flap which keeps your spray in place until it needs to be deployed. Next, we have a double magazine pouch. This also features a top flap and a retention screw to keep your magazines in place. The neat feature on this one is it has two different belt slots, one for horizontal and one for vertical mounting. Next, we have a flashlight holder. This one happens to be an open top. It is available with a top flap to keep it in place, and it comes in different sizes for various model flashlights. This one here is a baton holder. This one features two retention screws to keep your baton in place until it needs to be deployed. Next, we have the ring-style flashlight holder. These can be used to hold the larger mag-light flashlights as well as the older-style wooden batons. Next, we have a key holder. This loop attaches to your belt and snaps on and features a spring-loaded clip to clip your keys on. Next, we have the silent key holder. This features a top strap that holds the keys in place, and the Velcro flaps fold over the keys, keeping them quiet and secure, prevent them from rattling around when you're moving. And finally, we have a latex glove pouch. This pouch holds two pair of latex gloves, and it's a great option for officers on duty. So now let's see how this all fits on your duty belt. The first thing you have to do is remove the buckle from your duty belt. In order to do so, you have to fold the belt in half, lift the prongs, slide the buckle down and off the belt. Let's start with the magazine pouch. I'm going to go ahead and remove the clips, so make it easier to install. Now what we want to do is feed the belt through the loops and slide it right out. This is a level 2 duty holster. The level 2 refers.
Alright, so I'm going to skip till it's kind of end so you can kind of see all of it all together real quick. Let's see here. Probably about right here.
Pants belt. The way these two attach to each other is by using what we call belt keepers.
Alright, so hope you can kind of see all of that. Anyways, it's kind of interesting that all the equipment that a police officer does need to use out in the field, there's a lot. And there's a lot of equipment that needs to be held there. Okay? Alright, so let's go into a little bit of other stuff. One is the use of force. Okay? The use of force is making an arrest and is set forth in a state law and must at all times be reasonable. Okay? Any use of force needs to be documented in an initial report. All roadblocks, if used, must have an escape route, even if it's a dangerous one. Okay, so there's force levels. So there's mere presence, okay, is a force. Verbal commands, hands-on or physical contact. Then you bring out your other stuff, your pepper spray, your impact weapons, your canine, and then last of all, which we don't want to use, deadly force. So the use of firearms. Police carry firearms so they can protect themselves in the community. They may only use it under very specific set of circumstances outlined in the law. The firearm will not be removed from the holster except for use, inspection, or storage. Never remove for show or tell of others. So also the use of firearms. Officers can only carry firearms authorized by the department. Officers must remain qualified on those firearms if carried. Pistol's proficiency course is timed and scored shooting on a known distance range. This is a common training for all firearm qualifications. So if you do have a firearm, you have to actively be out using it and be able to qualify to be able to use it to carry one as an officer. Okay, deadly force. Deadly force can be used under the following circumstances: carrying out lawful execution, to protect self and others, to make arrest or stop escape from someone when there is probable cause to believe a significant threat of death or serious physical injury exists, to prevent the escape of some prisoners. Okay, use of deadly force is a split second decision, and that's where it's so hard to be able to judge some of these things that are going on because you have no idea what's going through somebody's head. Okay, and then we also talked, lastly, this is where we're going to end out, about combat shooting. Okay, the firing of weapons from a protective position to cover, procedural utilized for combat shooting, firearms related. Okay, so you're going to work on, if you were to do this, okay, how to draw the weapon, how to grip it correctly, the stance that you need to use, cover that you need to get into, breathing. Okay, breathing. If anybody has ever shot a firearm, breathing is very important because it makes you unstable as you're not breathing correct. You're not following your breath, right? And usually you're kind of almost in a panic situation, so you got to work under different circumstances. Okay, sighting, pulling the trigger, and scan the area. Okay, so once again, what you need to do is we just have the worksheet on components that's due this week. And so please go and do this worksheet and turn it in and email me if you guys have any questions. Thanks.